Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Tuplex, and today we're going to continue setting up the production of rocket fuel from coal liquefaction. Since the last episode, I decided to move the heavy oil tank to the other side of the setup, just because that's where I have the other tanks, and I wanted to be somewhat consistent about it. So I hooked up another tank here. I duplicated the pump setup that I had over on this end, and then I just put a pump here just to empty out this tank so I don't lose any of the oil. All right, so that's taken care of, and I had temporarily disconnected the coal supply so that it would stop producing while I did that, but now we can reconnect it and get it running again. Yeah, we've got quite a lot of petroleum, so that'll be the first thing to bottleneck for us. Pardon me. I also went back and I picked up some chemical plants and beacons and modules so that we can continue on what we're doing here. So let's get started with heavy oil to light oil cracking. Let me see here. Yeah, I think we're going to need a dedicated row of beacons. Well, let me see here. Let's just try something here real quick. So heavy to light needs water and oil. So that means that we can't put machines right next to each other like this, because then these two will mix together, right? So we have to leave space in between. If I leave one space, for example, this one, if you look over in the tooltip, or not the tooltip, but over in the description on the right, you see where it says number of effect sources, 8. That means it's being affected by 8 beacons right now. Modules also count as effect sources. So if I add modules to it, that'll get added to the number. This one is also 8. How does that work? It's not supposed to happen. Okay, here we go. This one is 6. Okay, and that's because by only having one space, eventually we get lined up with the beacon, and then that particular machine only has the benefit of 6 machines, of 6 beacons rather. So I'm not sure I like having all the beacons or all the machines running at different speeds. What did we assume? On this one, we assumed 6 beacons. Right, so if I set it up that way, then there's going to be some disparity between machines in terms of how fast they go, which I'm not crazy about. Now, the other thing we could do is we could just put the beacons in front of the machines. The advantage of that is that overall we'll end up using a few less beacons. These will each be affected by 6, and they'll all run at the same speed. So in this case, though, I only need 2 machines. And I can get 2 machines set up to where they both are affected by 8. All right. So let's do that. I'm going to need 2 spaces. All right, and then I want to move this over one more. There. And then that one's not needed. Okay. All right, so we're going to do heavy to light cracking. can we get a substation up here? Let's see. I could put one right here. Yeah, there we go. Oh no, I can't put it there because I need to have more beacons up here. Okay, and that leaves us pipe there. And then we can get those in there as well. I suppose I could just put a substation on this side. And then I'll put another one on this side. Well, we'll see. Because I'm going to need to set up some other stuff too. Okay. So let's put in productivity and speed. All right, I'll put another one over here just for now, just so we get it all powered up. Okay, and then the heavy oil, I have this set up so we're only going to send heavy oil for cracking when we have at least 2,000. That way we'll always have some heavy oil in reserve to be used for the actual coal liquefaction process, since it consumes some of the heavy oil that it produces. All right, and then I need to get some water up here. Water is way over here. No? I thought I could pull water from the end. Yeah, there we go. I'm not sure if this will be enough, but we can always add more water later if we need it. Oops. There. All right, so now we're making more light oil. Now this light oil, I'm somewhat tempted to send it back into the tank. Yeah, let's send it back into the tank. That way all of the light oil that we use for making the solid fuel will come from the same source, right there. Now we'll have to start using this up, otherwise the cracking is going to stop. Okay, so now we can start to set up our other processes. All right, and I'm going to leave, if I leave 2 spaces, then I can get my offset from the beacons again. All right, I'm going to remove this for now. All right, so let's check something here. So all of this is making 95 light oil per second. And this is going to make 147. So 95 plus 147 is 195, 130, like it's close to 250. Let's say 250. All right, so let's go back into Hellmod and let's change this recipe. No, let's just delete it. So let's add light oil to solid fuel. In this case, we're going to have 8 beacons affecting each one with speed. So that'll consume, 2 machines will consume 38. 10, let's try 16. Yeah, 16 will consume 300. $227. All right, so let's go with 14. Let's go with 14 machines making solid fuel. And that's going to make 34 per second, which is 1 blue belt. Okay. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I think that's 14. It was a little too fast for me. 13. Okay. Now the nice thing about this is that we can connect all of these with a single pipe to feed in the oil. Yeah, you know what? Maybe instead of this, what if I do it this way instead? Okay. And then the productivity modules. All right. So one of these is going to make 1.3 per second. So blue inserters on the output should be just fine. Now the next beacons, we're going to have to move up a row. So that I have room for a belt. And actually these we can move up as well. Okay, and then every second one we'll make short. Okay, and now we just have to power these guys up. Here we go. Okay. All right, and then we just put some undergrounds to jump over there. There we go. Okay, so far so good. Let's see how much petroleum we're making. So we can set up the same thing, burning petroleum. Petroleum, we're getting 128 per second. Okay, so solid fuel from petroleum. Modules. Beacons. 128, right? Okay, so we need 4 machines for the petroleum. That'll give us another 10. And this was going to be making 35. So 10 more is going to be too much for a blue belt. All right, so we'll need to figure out another way to manage that. Okay. All right, so how do we do this? All right, and then I'll just have, well, let's see, I could do 2 red belts coming out, because 2 red belts can carry 53 and a half per second, which will be enough. All right, so let me just copy those inserters. There. Okay, now we just have to figure out the best way to get petroleum over there, which would be to have this tank over here on the other side, right? Yep. There we go. Okay, and then I'll disconnect this. 1, 2. And I'll put a pump there just so we can empty this one out. All right, and then we need another one of these right here where my red belts are. Okay. All right. And now we're ready to start making rocket fuel. So let's get that set up. Now, rocket fuel has a pretty simple recipe, and that's... no, I want it right there. There we go. No? Is that made in regular machines? So it is. Okay. All right, so the recipe for rocket fuel is just 10 solid fuel. And it takes 30 seconds. With modules, it's even slower. Okay, so let's see what our total solid fuel production is going to be. It's going to be about 45 a second, 44 a second. Okay, so let's look at the recipe for rocket fuel. And we'll try to get this up to 45 a second. Looks like 25 will do it. Okay, so how many is this? Well, let's just do it in fives. So there's 5, 10, 15, 20, and we'll do the 25 down here. Okay. That means we'll need a few more beacons. Okay. How did that happen? I got slightly misaligned. Actually, here, let's delete that. I'll just copy this row and move it straight up. 1, 2, boom. Okay, and I have enough modules, which is great. All right. I'll move these guys up there. I should throw in some lights here as well. Let's do that. Of course, this bothers me that I can't put them all on the same side, but oh well. I already put lights down there. Okay, and I'll need lights over here. All right, so where do we want the output to go? Down here. Okay, so we could, I think we'll bring it down the right side. Okay, and this is going to give us how much? Oh, 6 per second. So that's not a whole lot, is it? How much is that per minute? 360 something. Okay, well that's not quite enough to launch rockets every minute, but oh well. All right, so the output is going to be on red belt. Single red belt will be more than enough. Okay. So now we just have to get the solid fuel up here. And the time is 30 seconds, so I think fast inserters on the inputs are going to work fine. All right, so that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And this should use up most of a single belt. And then the other one down like this. And down to the end. Okay. And now we're making rocket fuel. Let's see how we're doing on power now. All right. Consuming more power, 1.2 gigawatts. Let's see how the power plant looks, actually. Make sure they're... Yeah, all the turbines are running. They're all getting steam. All the pumps are pumping. The heat exchangers are exchanging. Yeah, looks good. Okay. I do see some of these getting blocked on the outputs. Oh, I think it's because they got backed up. Right, some of these have a lot of stuff in there, so they're gonna have a hard time. Well, when they get backed up, then the ones upstream are able to dump stuff on the belt faster than it's actually able to produce it. Let's just check something. 14 says 34.5. Let's see if this tells me the same thing. "14 machines with modules and with 8 beacons." Yeah, 34.6. All right, so the numbers are right. This should... I think we'll just have to give this some time to keep producing, and hopefully these belts will eventually clear themselves out. Okay, this one's empty, so I can pick that up. I think these other tanks are just about full. Okay, so let's finish this up and get this run down to the train station. Which is going to be over here. So we'll put in some silos. All right, and I'll just feed these with loaders. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to split it 1 to 4 right here, so that way I can make sure that each of these silos is getting the same amount. Right, and the best way to do that is to split it once, right? Because if I did this instead, then the first one would get half of this red belt, the second one would get half of the half that's left over, this would get, an eighth, and so the first one would always fill up before the others, which is not what I want to have happen. Oh yeah, and I have just enough belt to finish the job. Let me dump some of this solid fuel that I've got. There we go. Okay, and let's identify this on the map. There we go. Rocket fuel from coal liquefaction. Check. All right. Now Now these numbers still aren't equal just because this one is going in faster. But if I cut the belt right there, then as soon as all the belt's empty, they should all have almost exactly the same amount. Yep. That's where my Nixie tubes are supposed to go. Okay. Yeah, the belt's starting to empty out now. Looks like we're still having a little bit of compression issue, but not too bad. What are we making here? 44. So I could replace this with 2 red belts, actually. And I've got 18 machines. Yeah, so let's try... Oh, I'm going to run out of belt. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Oh, there's a light there. That's why. Okay. There we go. Okay, so now there's 11 machines inserting on the first belt, and then 7 machines inserting on the second belt. But it should eventually work itself out. And we can just double check that. How much are these making? 24.6. Yeah, that's almost a full belt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There, that should help. Now they're even. Whoops. Yep, there's 9 there, and there's 9 there. Okay. So we have the same quantity of machines inserting onto each belt now. Okay. Yeah, it looks better now. The belts aren't full anymore. All the lights are green. All the lights are green. All the lights are green. Steam looks good. All right. So let's see how fast we're making this now. 380 per minute, which is a little bit faster than what we estimated before. I wonder why that is. Oh well. Anyway, it's plenty. Plenty for now. And I'm going to take one stack from each of these, because I want to load up my own train with rocket fuel, because it's a lot faster. There we go. Now they're slightly unequal. Oh well. Okay, and then we need stack inserters on the output. I'll just do 4 because we're not going to be dealing in extremely large quantities. Although if we're going to do it, we might as well do it as fast as we can. Why not? So we'll do 6. Okay, and then we just have to set up the train parameters, which are going to be 1 train at a time, minimum 6, maximum 6, and that's it. Okay, I'm just going to dump off this extra solid fuel that I've got. We'll throw in the coal as well. Okay, so we're good to go. We got rocket fuel. And I think that now we have everything we need to make the rocket parts. We've got speed modules on the network. Oh, well, we need satellites too, and that's going to take a few items, but blue circuits and speed modules we have, copper, steel, and plastic we have, and rocket fuel we have. So we've got everything that we need to start launching a couple rockets. So in the next episode, we'll start to set up a silo and rocket production. And then we'll also need to start building solar panels and accumulators and radars in an automated fashion so that we can put satellites in them. Without satellites, we don't get the space science. And we also need to launch satellites for SpaceX. So the satellites, I will probably... Let's see. No, I'm not going to make them in the main base, but what I'll do is I'll set up a train to bring solar panels, accumulators, and radars from the main base, just because those take a lot of different ingredients that I already have there. And then I'll send a small train from the starter base over to the rocket area. And in the rocket area, we're already going to have low-density structures and solid fuel, or rocket fuel. So we can use those to make the satellites to put into the rockets. So we'll get into that in the next episode. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.